Welcome to Italics, television for the Italian-American experience. I'm your host, Anthony Tamburri. On this episode of Italics, we visited Laura Mattioli, founder and president of CIMA, the Center for Italian Modern Art. Since 1983, Mattioli's been the curator responsible for her father's art collection. Gianni Mattioli's art patrimony is considered one of the most important accumulations of Italian avant-garde and modern art. For its fall-winter 2022 season, the Center for Italian Modern Art presents Bruno Munari, The Child Within, which will run from October 6, 2022 to January 14, 2023. Laura, welcome to Italics, and thank you for inviting us into your home. We're happy to be here, and we're also happy to introduce you to our Italian-American audience, as well as also general audience. You have a PhD in art history, or the collection of art. Of course, this collection has been around ever since you were born, so you grew up with the collection. But I'm just curious what you thought your future was going to be with a doctorate in art history, as opposed to now being in New York City on Broome Street with this wonderful center.
I thank you for coming to me and for asking me these questions. I have to tell that what I inherited from my father was not only or mostly the collection he did, but the idea that art has an important social impact. And for this reason I came to States. For this reason I try to continue his legacy, that is to share the human value that are expressed by art to the people they are now living and dealing with the problems today.
He concentrated on early 20th century Italian art, correct? And of course, yes, futurism.
Yes, because he was 50 years older than me. He was born in the beginning of 20th century, in 1903, and this was his time. This was his era. He was friendly with many of the people that were very revolutionary at that time. In the 20s, when he started to meet with Fortunato De Pero, these people looked as crazy, as out of the official bourgeois world. No?
Right.
And he was deeply involved in the modernism, and he believed that the modernism was an important new way to be, mostly in Italy, where the tradition of arts is very strong in the past, but is not so recognized for the present. And I think it's still quite important to propose an image of Italy that is an image of today, not only of the past.
Right. This seems to be a little bit of an Italian characteristic. I think we see it also in literary studies, where an author basically has to be dead for at least 20 years before you can have any profound study on the author, right?
In some way I agree, because to make story we need a distance. Yeah. The contemporary is different, and also what I am working on as art historian is the history more than the contemporary, really contemporary. Mm-hmm. But also the history has a lot to teach us, and the history now is also in the 20th century. It's not only.
So here's a little bit of my very brief and very indirect connection to your father's collection, because my own work, early work in Italian studies, was on futurism, literary futurism, okay, not figurative arts, right? But of course that was always something that we would look at, just because those people were talking to one another too, whether yes, it was Palazzeschi, whom I studied, was talking to Boccioni and so on and so forth, right? But I remember there was somewhere in the 80s maybe a book that was published on your father's collection by Schira.
There is a book about my father's collection that is the Catalogue Raisonné that was published in 2004, I think.
Oh, I thought there was something earlier.
It was done when the collection was in long loan to the Guggenheim.
Okay.
Before we did, when we opened the loan in 97, a short book, an handbook, and after a Catalogue Raisonné, very comprehensive and very important. Coming back, what you told about futurist literature, I think it was very important because also Marinetti, the futurist founder, was a literate, was not a painter, was not an artist. And this aspect to be through all different cultural approach, literature, music, theater, art, also kitchen, also many different aspects, is really revolutionary for the time. And before, there is only movement, I don't know, in literature or in art, not a so comprehensive movement, modernist movement that want to change the everyday life in the global sense.
You called Cima a corrective. And why don't you explain that a little bit, what you mean by Cima being a corrective?
Well, I think now we are in a moment where we are looking to the history in a different way. Before there is only one path, and in case of modern art, the path comes from French. Everything is generated in French, and the other countries or the other position are followers. Now we are looking at that as something that is very restrictive, and we appreciate more and more other position, other reality. And between the other reality, there is also Italy. I would like to speak very briefly about one fact. Normally, the modernism in painting is considered coming from Cubism. Futurist is considered a derivation. The painting that Boccioni painted, for example, after he was in Paris, were considered derivated from the style of the Cubist. That is also absolutely true. But the difference between Cubist and Futurism is huge, because Cubists were very elitary. They don't want to have anything to share with the mass, with the people, the general public. They think they can be not understood, and they are really literally an avant-garde, a little group that stay by themselves, don't write any theoretical text. Instead, Futurism is the opposite. They want to change the society. They use the manifesto that is an originally a way to express a political position. It comes from the Marx manifesto, and they want to interact with the public, for example, in a performance in the theater. And this big difference gave to the Futurism the most important impact on the society. I have to tell that the modernity came more from what did the Futurism in Russia, in South America, in many countries, than what really did the group of the Cubists. But this is completely misunderstood till now. And I think we have to revise our approach, historical approach in general.
I agree with you 100%.
Thank you.
I agree. No, because it's an argument that I've made, over the years, trying to give Futurism its just due. Because I agree 100% that Futurism is much more of an impactful movement, I think, than Cubism. And I also, we always hear people talking about the avant-garde surrealism. Well, for me, there'd be no surrealism without Futurism.
Absolutely, yeah. But also no Dada without
no Dada without. Exactly.
And surrealists come from Dada in part, as we know. Is a long process, but also I think that very important is the model of the person of the artist in the society that was built by the futurist. A person that is not out from the society but is involved, but also politically involved. It could be also wrong politically involved, as happens with the fascism and many futurists. But is in any case a position that exists. It's not somebody staying in his little haven and by himself. No? And this was a model also, I think, for the artists in the 60s and the 70s. countries, when the people came back and think in what way they can have an impact on the society with their work. And this is still alive, I think.
Yeah.
And this is a model that came out from a big general movement that was not made by the elite, but was made more abroad.
And we should let our spectators know, those who will be going to Milano, and correct me, but the Mattioli Futurist Collection is going to be at the 20th century.
Yes, Museo del Novecento
Right.
is the country museum of the town. Is a long loan for 5 years.
And when is it already there? Or
It's already there, but it's not installed. I don't know exactly the date when it will be open to the public. I think in the fall, October, November. Yes.
This 22?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yes,
good.
very soon.
And it'll be there for at least 5 years, we think.
Yes, it's a loan for 5 years, and after we have also a new director, Mr. Maragnello. That is very experienced and a very good person to run this museum in a new and strong way. Yes.
So tell us a bit about Cima. We're in your apartment here, but it's in the same building, and Cima's on the 4th floor. And again, I referenced before about the play on words, Cima, which means top. so tell us more about Cima.
Cima tried to propose a new look to the Italian 20th century art through different approach by fellowship that we gave to the young people, international fellowship. In this way, we try to mix people coming often from Italy, and they have a more important international experience they can have normally in Italy. Also, when they study in prestigious university in Italy, they are often in little town. Also, Pisa, that have the famous Scuola Normale, is a very provincial town now, and the impact that they have coming in New York for a few months and meeting people and looking the exhibition and all what's going on is very important for them. And in the other side, they met international fellow that have a different approach. They don't know in the same way. There is a different method to approach Italian art in Italy and abroad. And we try to mix the different approach in the way they can discover that something is good also in a different way to look at that, and to build something that is more international and a more common language about the way to speak about Italian art. This is one side, is an academic side that is very strong and very important also for the future, because we are growing a new generation of art historians, Italian art historians, that have a more deeper connection with the international fellowship and scholarship. In the other side, we do exhibition to approach the public, and we do events, normally one event every week, and we try to go in a new subject that are not known here, show something that is quite new or in a new way. And what we did, for example, last year, we did this Staging Injustice show that was about the painters that painted a political subject, mostly the difficult economical situation of the people, workers in Italy, from the end of 19th century, 1880, to the First World War. It was a very dramatical time, different from the Belle Époque that was in France, because Italy just was united in a nation, and many problems left by the previous government with Austrian or Spanish, and so came out, mostly for the south of Italy that was very poor and not has an industrial development. And this was also a dramatic time for the migration. A lot of people were forced to migrate to survive, to migrate in North America and South America, and also seasonal migration, just to work during the winter or during the summer. And I think this was an important look because the quality of the painting was incredible. This divisionist style that is not known at all here is considered another time a derivation from the Pointillism, but is completely different as technique as subject in both ways. Is also related to literature, to the Verist literature, generated the important film that we proposed to the public, and also opera, classic opera, and was a moment completely unknown in States, but I think deserve to be better considered here. In the other side,
and let me ask you about.
Yes.
So the artists were not just Italian.
No, they are all Italian.
They were all Italian for
All
the
Italian.
social.
Yes,
justice, they were all
absolutely,
Italian.
absolutely Italian.
And you had that wonderful sort of iconic painting that I think everybody.
The Quarto Stato.
Yeah.
The Quarto Stato is the masterpiece of Pelizio da Volpedo. That was purchased by the town of Milan by public subscription, and is a symbol of the generation of the workers in the land that wanted to face the future in a different way. It was not so true what happens. This is also to be considered because many times also today the artists think to be able to influence the politics, and it looks not so true. This is very sad. Also these big paintings that were very strong, very appealing, very impacting the viewer, at the end don't came out with nothing from a political side. No? This is something that we have to think about. And this painting is huge, is in Milan, and of course cannot travel to New York, but we presented cartoons, preparatory cartoons, and also the first little sketch.
Right, exactly. You had the first,
Yes.
which is wonderful to see,
Yes.
because it gives you an idea of where the painter went.
It was a painter where Polizia worked for many, many years. Also the technique is crazy with this millions of little touch of color one on the other. Really, if you go to Milan, go to see this painting.
Yeah. So that was a very successful show, and I feel privileged to have been part of it a little bit with a chat about Nuovo Mondo. And that was also nice because you did bring in two other media, right? Cinema and I think also literature. There may have been
Yes.
some discussions on literature as well.
And the song also.
Yeah.
Popular songs.
Right, exactly.
And also opera.
Yeah, so that was a really nice sort of multimedia exhibit, right?
We try to offer to the public something always very different, to stimulate a different audience and to propose a different point of view. This time we show the works by Bruno Munari, that was an artist in a broad sense of the word. He did not only paintings, but he did also design, very important design, and the main subject of the show will be the books for child. This was a very important part of his activity where all his research in some way come in. And we think that this is also important in this moment to think about the education of the child in our world, where the media are changing so much, and I see more and more often child in the little chair with an iPhone in the hands. And I think how much the creativity of the child need to be pushed in any case, and not to learn only a passive attitude that could be in quite way dangerous from many point of view. This show will be fun, I wish, first at all, and is related also to a group of books that we will show that are coming from Russia and Ukraine in the early 20s, committed by the government that wanted to build the new personality of the communist citizen and renew completely the approach to the children's book. And also it was a time that Russia was very involved with a new way to express the forms. After that, with Stalin, these books were mostly destroyed, and they are now very, very rare, but we are able to show some example because, these people in Russia and futurists were very related,
right.
and through them, Munari also had this input that the books, the new books and the modernist books could change the education of the child. No? And the child are also a bit an alter ego of the artist. If the artist don't continue to be creative and receptive as a child, he cannot do well his job. No? He is dead as artist. And the last thing I would like to tell is that I feel that the current situation of heavy discrimination in the American society is based on the schools. The level of the public school need deeply to be raised to have to give to the people the equal possibility to grow in the society.
The first things that get cut in school budgets are things such as art, music, physical education. The three things that are extremely important both for the development of the mind and the development of the body.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
And I think we have, as institution, we have to work on that all together, and to give to the child the possibility to express themselves, to be more aware citizen in the future, not to be passive.
Where do you see Cima developing as far as this is concerned? You've already said it's a corrective. The idea behind Cima is a corrective for art, right? For Italian art, to make sure that people realize that Italian art is much more important than sometimes society at large thinks. And I always say that about literature. I always say there'd be no Shakespeare without Petrarca, there'd be no Petrarca without Dante, there'd be no Dante without Guinizelli, and so on and so forth, right? So Cima obviously has a role here.
I wish he can have. What I wish is that I can step back. I created and I gave all what I can to Cima, but now Cima need to grow, and as an adolescent, as a teenager, need to walk in the world by himself. With more people that put some input, some proposal, some ideas, and be really grow through a community. We need new ideas, young, and I am very happy with this stuff, that all with young people. I am very happy with the fellows that are all young and can be really ambassador of the Cima. And on the other hand, I wish Cima could contribute to this education in general words for Americans. I would like to be able to do a program to teach to the teacher to use visual image to teach as they use the language, or instead the language, because this is a very powerful way to teach, and I wish we can develop that more, because we are in an age where everybody is subject to the image. We receive thousands of images every day,
right.
No? And we need to learn to manage this image and to communicate through the image.
As we close, I'm going to pay you a compliment, and I'm going to, the Times article compared you to the Peggy Guggenheim, which is fine,
Yes.
which made sense, I'm going to put you alongside someone else. With regard to Italian studies, what you're doing is an act of cultural philanthropy that has very few equals, in my opinion. And the other example with regard to Italy that comes to mind is the Casa Italiana at NYU that was basically started by the late Baroness Mariuccia Cirilli Button. And I like to see you more in that category of cultural philanthropy in this sense, because I also see, while of course, you know, the whole Guggenheim establishment is also educational, Yours seems to be a little bit more on-hand educational and direct educational.
Well, I found many colleagues in some way in state, and I like that very much because really we share big responsibility to give to the new generation something to continue to build, and this is good to share. Thank you for your compliment. I very much appreciate it. Thank you for everything.
Well, thank you for opening up your house to us. Thank you.
Thank you to you.
Thanks for watching this episode of Italics. I'm Anthony Tamburri. Arrivederci alla prossima puntata.